welcome, everybody, to another edition of Hot Program. I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast. And as always, folks, I am in airplane mode. And now a man whose testicles put the sack in sacrilegious. A man who needs no introduction. How you doing today, my one black friend?
I'm okay. It's good to have good to be back on a special short-haired episode of Hot Program.
Yeah, did you get a haircut?
My wife cut it, so I can show you this side. You don't want to see this side. I got that's just the expression. My good side. I finally could use.
She pre-cut it. Now we gotta.
Exactly. She brought the cost down, so when I go to a professional, like, look, my wife already knocked it down in most places. You know what? It was her first time. It was her first time cutting my hair, and I have an ex-girlfriend that she said, "Oh, you don't have to go to a barber. I'll cut your hair." And I was like, "Shh. You ever cut a black person's hair before?" No, yeah. But I've cut other people's hair before. I'm like, okay. So I let her do it. And it looked bad to me, which means it was bad. And I went out and I went to the barber on the corner, said, "Look, my girlfriend did this. She's very dedicated. She's really sweet about it. Can you just fix it?" And I said, "Yes." And then she saw me. We had a date. She goes, Did you get your hair cut again?" And I looked at her, and she was just melting. I said, the lady up the street, she fixed it, but she only had to do a little, and she did. She only had to do a little fixing.
Like, so you gotta tell them black hair different. Black hair, that's your out. Your out is black hair now, different, baby. You're not ready for this.
For the next 10 years, she cut my hair. She figured out what she did wrong, and she just did. Yep, she didn't do it wrong again. She got it right every time. I had to drive over an hour to her house now. When she cuts my hair, it's over an hour drive. I'll still go to her in a heartbeat.
Wait, even now?
Even now.
The wife lets the ex-girlfriend cut your hair. That's why she cut it. That's why she cut it. She was trying to tell you. That might be. Go into the ex. Oh, that might happens.
Be my that particular ex-girlfriend looks like gosh, what's the actress's name? Famous actress, Anne Hathaway.
Oh yeah,
she looks like Anne Hathaway.
No,
yeah, I'm not going over there, huh?
No, you can't. no.
Anne Hathaway is not cutting up.
Nah, with you can't be going over there no more.
Just running her fingers through my curly locks. So how's the baby? Let me see pictures. We could have had a cute baby like that, like maybe.
That's what that message was. That was. You need to find a new barber, or you're gonna be bald.
I think my wife she wanted to get the Clippers pocket locker and do like a fade on the side.
No,
this side, this side's a little low. This here's a little low, and I was like,
a fade.
We'll see.
A fade. No, low and even. You just pick one level and then everything is. I go to a professional barber and don't even get a fade. Fades are hard. That's advanced stuff.
A lot of barbers have the talent to produce an excellent fade. But my wife, I think she'll get there. She just, I felt it was ambitious. Practice. When she said, "I want to taper it in," I was like, no. Nah. You want to, yeah. You want to, but I'm just not ready for that. It's not that you're not ready for it. I'm not ready for it.
If you want to stay in love with me, if you want to like what you're looking at, you better let me go in here and let this pro do it. But I'm in Jersey now, so I got real barbers. It depends on where you live.
Oh, you do? Okay.
It ain't
all right.
You can't find a good barber everywhere you at. That's for sure.
Well, the hood is about a 20-minute drive from where I am. So I can go over there, and there's people all day long. Like, I'll hook you up. No problem, and we'll do a fine job. Right now, the money situation is tight, so I'm glad my wife cut it. I have plenty of hats. She's got lots of yarn, and she wants to crochet me something new until about a month's growth kicks in, and you won't know the difference. So,
Nah, my barber would kill me. All right, so look, y'all. I don't even know what to say about today's episode. This is one we planned a while ago, and should have done a while ago, and now I don't even I don't even know how I feel about this topic. Like, I'm in such a weird place right now where like I'm so sick of the silliness with religion, and I'm in this weird place where like I don't want to play nice anymore. Like I don't want to play with these people. So I'm in a really weird space, and I feel like I'm jumping back. Like I'm jumping back in time to like last year or something. But we did put this on. We did plan this, and you know now we gotta get ready. Oh, you like my shirt, PC? Go Jesus! It's your birthday. We gonna party like
is
it's
that
your
what it
birthday. We
says? Oh
gonna sip a party like it's your birthday. And you know we don't give a fuck. It's not your birthday.
yeah!
Yeah, and
I
I
love
got
it. I love
it.
Now, see, the beauty of your sweater is like when you wear that out in public, when Christians see it, I'm sure they'll get a little excited. And if it's a
Yeah, it's
conversation
neutral. It's
starter,
neutral. Yeah.
but if it's a conversation starter, like, oh, how long have you been in the faith? So you can say, no, I'm an atheist. This is just fun, right? It's
Yeah.
just fun. And I think it sort of brings the temperature down for them. And well, it's not really mocking, is it? Because it is the celebration of Jesus' birthday. It's got to
But
be okay.
yeah,
No,
it's
but
gotta
it's
be
got
okay.
anybody who has a problem with that is a fuddy duddy, and I think Jesus would say, "Thou art a fuddy duddy." You can't even
I'm in a bah humbug fuddy duddy type of
really.
year for me. Oh yeah.
Okay,
I'm trying to
well,
ruin everybody's Christmas. I think I'm actually thinking like of having a sit down conversation with my family like before Christmas. That's like I
why?
can't.
For what?
Because I can't anymore. I can't. I can't watch people worship a monster and bow their heads to Jesus and all this. I think what it is just working at a Catholic university. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
fed up, and I feel like I'm constantly being gaslit every day, all day, dealing with a
Mm-hmm.
Catholic university, that it's like if I'm on break or I have time with family, like I have zero Jesus budget. Zero. Like I'm
A
done.
zero Jesus budget.
I'm OD, like I'm saturated, like system overload, system cannot handle any more lies
Mm-hmm.
about Jesus. So
Mm.
I'm not even sure what to do. Like I'm thinking I'm gonna have a sit down conversation with my family and see how it goes. If it goes one way, we're gonna have our first truly secular Jesus-less Christmas, or I'm just not going
Wait, let me
home.
let me say it like I'm in a movie from the 50s and I'm the wife. But you can't have a Christmas without Jesus.
Yeah, that's how they going. That's they going. Like I don't I can't. Like I tried for Thanksgiving and I just couldn't do it. Like I was supposed to stay with my mom for like 2 or 3 days when I went home for Thanksgiving. I was there for like one night. And I was like, I'm going
Hmm.
home. Like I'm leaving. Like I just can't. I can't like. Believe it or not, they're asking too much of us. They're asking too much of us. At least for those that are like me, like it's not fun anymore. It's not cute. Like it's a source of real trauma for us. They really
Hmm.
lied to us about this our
Hmm.
whole lives. They really demanded that we dedicate our lives to this stuff. They really demanded that every decision I make in light of this religion. They asked that like it's such a hard ask. And then when it turns out they really don't even care if it's true. Like I don't respect that. I don't respect that. And I'm
That's
at a
pretty hard.
point, where every time I go along with it, I lose a little bit of respect for myself. I lose myself. I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're doing, but like, I would rather just be away from these people and let them do what they want to do. But I can't keep trying to be there to make them happy that I'm here and I'm sharing in it. And then y'all gonna just completely disregard the fact that I'm not feeling this, and you're just gonna do it anyway. You're just gonna at some point you're not taking me seriously. And me going along with it is telling you it's okay to not take me seriously. And it's been years. It's been years that we've had the polite conversation in the, well, you should think about it. Da, da, da. You ain't thought about it. You ain't putting no time into it. You ain't putting no effort into it. You didn't go back and get into the word and really start thinking. Like, what people want to do is they just want to put their heads in the sand, feel their comfort, feel whatever they want to feel, and just power through it and essentially run out the clock. Essentially, if y'all don't understand the strategy of the people in your life, is to run out the clock. Is to be a Christian so long and so desperately till they get to a place where they're so old or so decrepit or in such poor health that you won't challenge them anymore because it's no longer like appropriate. You know what I mean? And there's no easy way to do it, but this is where I'm at, and it's changing everything for me. Like, it's funny, like, I feel like a lot of the people that we're in community with, like the counter apologist people, like I feel like some of them are like finally coming around to what we've been saying about these apologists not being good faith actors, or they're not really good people to be involved with. They're kind of wasting our time. But at the same time, it's like as soon as they're ready to be there, I've like moved on. Like I don't even think they're worth responding to. I actually now I'm cycling back almost to where my commitment was like 2 years ago, where I was like, it's time to push the button. Because what I realized is we don't have any influence on those people. And essentially it's like pissing in the wind because they're not real entities to the people that matter to us. Like most of the Christians that you and I probably know, most of the people in our audience know, they don't know who William Lane Craig is. They don't know who Sean McDowell is. They don't know who Craig and Cliff Connectley are, right? And so it does make us feel good to tear down those apologists. And to some extent, we're gonna keep doing it because it's how we build community. It's the content. It's entertaining, whatever. But I'm starting to feel like, in terms of moving society in the right direction, we should be ignoring them, and we really should actually be challenging the people in our lives. Like we really do need to be talking to our friends and family and coworkers and people like that. Depending on your situation, obviously, you don't want to put yourself in a situation that's not safe. Like if you work at a Catholic university, it's probably not safe to be ranting against Jesus. But if you think about it, these are the people, one, that matter to us. Two, we actually may have some influence on them. You know, William Lane Craig doesn't know who I am, and watching a 3-hour video of me making him feel like an idiot is probably not gonna do anything. But the people in my life, they actually know me, and hopefully, having some conversations with me will get them to think about things differently. So it's kind of about acting in the sphere of influence that you have, um, rather than responding to people where it's really not going to make a difference to anybody in your life. I don't know. I'm just having a hard time with all of it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
It's just a weird time. I feel like we're going through a lot right now. And also I'm really struggling because of our side. Like I've been struggling since the election.
Yeah.
It's been really hard since the election. And I think a big part of what I'm struggling with is not just the craziness of the right wingers, but like the great white cope, like I've been talking about, like all these people on the left who won't even acknowledge the racism and the misogyny and all of the stuff that we're really, really dealing with. And then I've been really realizing that a lot of the left, even people that consider themselves like leftists, for instance, the people who are literally, I don't know if you noticed, but like TYT, the Young Turks, like they're having a whole fallout because they basically flipped and become
They're going after the
conservatives.
money. They're going after the money. Jank and Anna Kasperi.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going after the money.
But meanwhile, everybody that's critiquing them is not even realizing it isn't just Jank and Anna. David Pakman is like this. Luke Beasley's like this. Like, so all of them do the same thing. You know, Luke Beasley been on Pierce Morgan how many times since the election? Like, it's crazy. Like the whole, like a lot of leftists are doing this. And then at the same time, even the ones that are calling them out, like I've literally had conversations and sent super chats, people like they're literally calling out Anna Kasparian and Jenk. And I'm telling them like, yo, we need to fight against religion too. And they're like, no, we don't. No, we don't. And I'm like, I don't even understand these people anymore, because these are supposed to be principled, like leftist. And their idea is, yeah, we got to fight against the far right extremists. Like they know we got to fight against the Christofascism of MAGA or whatever the fuck. But they don't think we need to fight against like religion writ large or Christianity writ large. And I'm like, you're crazy. Like, when are we going to get real about this? When like what are we fighting for? Like when you look at the issues of even the fight against the right, why are we fighting these things? Like why, like if you say we're fighting for equal rights for women, okay, who are we fighting for those equal rights against? And why are we fighting against
why
them?
is there a fight?
This shouldn't even be something we're fighting over.
It's compulsory.
Right.
It's not anything you need to fight over.
But okay, but the right knows it. The right will tell you. They'll look you in the face and say, well, I'm a Christian, and the Bible says that God is the head of the family, and then the man is the head of the wife, and then the wife is over the children. And they will like explain the hierarchy. They're like, yes, it's my religion. This is where it comes from. And then the left would be like, no, there's nothing wrong with Christianity. No, it's fine. No, I have some loving Christians next door, and my neighbor is spiritual, and there's an old lady across the street who brings me lemon meringue pie, and she's so lovely and wonderful. But bro, like, is it a lie or not? Is it wrong or not? Does she believe the same thing they believe or not? If it's wrong when they believe it and act on it and do it, then why is it okay over here? And why are you, a supposed leftist, a supposed person that's supposed to be on the side of resistance, not realizing what we actually are resisting? And you can't name it and point to it and, okay, we're fighting for equality for LGBTQ people. Okay, again, who are we fighting against, and why are we fighting them? Who are we fighting against, and why are we fighting them? So we can't keep doing it. Go ahead. Yeah, get in here, man. I'm crazy today.
I do wonder when we discuss equal rights, right? I think it's often not phrased in a way that is so plain as equal rights. It's we're fighting for rights for Latinos. We're fighting for rights, equal rights for Latinos, equal rights for Asian people, equal rights for Blacks, equal rights for LGBTQ. These are human rights that we're standing up for. I think the labels make it hard for the stupid and the pig-headed person to accept. Because I think foundationally, it's like saying that group gets something I don't get. no, they're just asking for equal treatment. They're not asking for more. Well, that's hard for some folks to process. Wait, you want the same? You don't already have the same? The smart person that figures that out is offended that you don't have the same, not happy about it. But there are people who are happy about it, that it's not the
But
same for
look,
the
I'm gonna
LGBTQ
have to be
person, the
honest.
Asian person, Black person.
If you're a Christian, you can't tell me you think they deserve the same. Because you don't believe women are the same as men. You don't. You
Oh, but
fundamentally don't believe it.
I got a scripture for you. The Bible says that God is no respecter of persons. Let me explain what that means for those that don't know. It doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, clean, filthy, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't make you special to God, that you fit in one of those little bins, right? It doesn't make you special that you fit in one of those categories. Other things might make you special, but it's not your money. It's your character, more than likely, but it's not your money.
I don't buy none of that. I don't buy none
Well,
of that.
look, I don't think the Christian God is real. I don't think the God of the Bible is
We
real.
agree
Like
about that.
it is. In fact, it is one of the most unconvincing things.
No, but here's the thing.
The best
Like,
argument is, well, the universe is here. I'm like, okay, just goes way downhill after that.
but here's the thing. It's like
Uh-huh.
you are what you do, and you are the company you keep. And when I don't really know. I don't know Christians. I don't know really religious people, period, that go to that until they're challenged, because they know it's not real. And so it doesn't, I don't like that's it. I don't even know why we bring those up. Like when we say stuff like that, it bothers me. Like, why, again, as atheists, we know their religion is patriarchal, and we know what the hierarchy is. It's God above man, man above woman. It's reified throughout the whole worldview, the rules, the ethics, the choices they make, everything. The fact that they got this little scripture over here somewhere that say something that they stole from a humanistic worldview anyway, just so they could paper over it. Like, I'm just not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not, to me, that's a person out here saying, Diddy did a lot to help people's careers in music. Diddy really talked about working hard. Diddy really talked about, I could sleep when I'm dead, but for now I got, I don't want to hear nothing positive about what that man said, because all we hear to talk about is the monstrosities that the man committed, and he needs to be held accountable, right? I'm not helping to wash his reputation. And that's how I feel Christians. Like, don't come to me talk. Y'all, they're not. They're not. They don't believe in equality. If they believed in equality, they wouldn't be Christians, because the patriarchy and the header, all of that stuff would be acceptable to them. Again, they could point to me and they could say, oh, I love everybody, and the scripture says we should love everybody, so I don't have nothing against LGBTQ people. Again, all I'm gonna ask you is a very simple question. Why are we fighting for their rights, and who are we fighting against? The only honest answer to that question is we're fighting against religious people, and we're fighting against them because of what they believe their religion commands them to do. Okay, so then from there, it's about right and wrong, and it's about lies and not lies. And even if Christianity did truly, like it, the Bible says stuff that's nice, but that doesn't give you a pass on all the terrible stuff.
Right, there's
Because
terrible things.
and the nice stuff is trivial. That's why we gotta leave it alone. Because when it says judge a person by their character, or render unto Caesar what is Caesar, we let people pretend like these religious texts say something so wise that humanity would have never figured it out without them. And now those words, they said these words, we should all be nice to each other. And no, we treat it like it's magical information. Like, if this prophet didn't say it or whatever, like people would have never figured out how to treat each other. And again, we know that's not true. We know these religions borrowed that stuff from earlier proverbs and earlier belief
Earlier
systems,
law codes, earlier
religion, or
religions,
whatever
yeah.
it was. Yeah. So it just gets to a point where I'm like, I'm just tired of playing that game, and we know it's not true. And so I'm getting to a point where it feels like I'm fighting for my sanity, because I'm feeling like I'm having to turn to people on our side and go, does it matter if something is true or not anymore? Are we the side that says we have the truth, or what? And if we are, then why are we constantly making excuses for these liars? Let them lie. Let's call them liars. Let's tell them they're liars, and let's stop making excuses about why it's okay for some of the lies because they make people feel good, but not other. Like, no, they're all lies. Do you believe the religion is evil or not? If you believe it's a good thing, then follow it. That's why I want to even tell most atheists, if you believe this religion is okay, follow it. Follow it. Become a practitioner. Give up your 10%. Give up your Sunday morning. Start singing in the choir. If you think this religion is okay, then spread it. Go back to being an evangelical. Because if you're coming over here, we're fighting against it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I'm at, and it's tragic, because I'm really feeling like even the atheist, even the principled leftist, all of these people who I think actually see through it, they don't want to fight against it, and it drives me crazy. At least the people who believe it and they're brainwashed, they don't know any better. My mother and my grandmother want to spread Christianity, yeah, because they're stupid and they don't know what it's really about. And they've been brainwashed and they believe it. So when you say some nonsense about Jesus's love and God has a plan for all of us, and if we live righteously according to his way, well, they believe that fucking nonsense. So of course they're gonna say that stupid shit. But we supposed to be the people who see through it, and we're like, yeah, donkeys don't talk, virgins don't get pregnant. We evolved, the earth is billions of years old, but then we're like, oh yeah, but let's go along with it because it'll be easier for us to get along with these people. And I'm just like, I can't compartmentalize like that. Yeah, it's so that's just kind of where I'm at.
Well, I don't want to tell you just sit down and keep your mouth shut. I think that's the wrong way.
but that's what people want to tell me, though.
There's no people, but I think it's good that you voice your opinion. As you and I know, and our audience knows this too, when you're an outspoken atheist and you mention to other people that you're an atheist, you undoubtedly will see relief wash over someone's face as they tell you, I meet so few atheists. I thought I was the only one. I didn't know it was okay to say openly you didn't believe. They thought, well, if you're an atheist, you have to go into hiding. No, not necessarily. You don't. Not in the United States. Not yet, anyway. Project 2025 is coming, so we'll see how that works out. But currently, you don't have to hide yourself away. You can be yourself, and by being an open, non-theist, I think we give other people permission to embrace that in themselves when they realize, hey, you know what, religion really fails my morality test. There's some great things here, but there's some really objectionable things when I get down to what's in the Bible. It's not necessarily the happiest of news or reports the whole way through. So I think they can say, well, Pocket Locker, here's what we're willing to do, or here's what we had planned. But you very well might hear, this is your grandfather. We don't think your grandfather is going to be around in a year. This might be his last Christmas. So is it all right if we just do it his way? Now, that being said to you, if it were true, right? If it were true, you might be able to say, I'll give. That I'm glad you said something. I didn't know things were that serious. Yes. There's some things I won't participate in, but just these one or two things, the group prayer, I might have to use the bathroom when that happens. And I need to I need you to make sure it happens when I'm not there.
Bro, you talking
Right?
like how I am at work. I don't want to be in the same room as the president, so I don't go to no events that the president is at. And then if I have to, if he starts going around the room like he's shaking hands and stuff, that's what I do. I feel like pretend I have to go to the bathroom because I literally I refuse to be like acknowledge him or like shake his hand. He makes me feel so gross. I don't know. I've been thinking about that, and honestly, I think that I don't know what it's gonna be because it's all in my head, and I don't know how the conversation is really gonna go till it goes. Even though
Fair enough.
part of me likes to think I could put feelings aside and try to have a happy holiday situation, I don't think I should. The real part of me, my real integrity tells me if they say that, I should say, well then I'm gonna have to make a point to go visit them outside the holidays. I'm gonna have to make a point to go. If this could be their last
And
year,
that's okay.
then fine. Like I'm gonna go see them on my own time. You know what I'm saying? Make sure I try to create some memories with them and spend some time with them. But I'm not gonna let the threat, because that's what I really think people are doing when they say that. I don't think you're doing it. I think you're right. I think that is a very common response, but I think people in our community, y'all, I'm talking for real about the resistance, y'all. Do y'all understand what I'm saying when I say resistance? Because nothing in resistance should you hear the words easy. Nothing in resistance should you hear the words comfortable. Nothing in resistance should you hear, oh, people are going to like you and they're going to tell you what a great person you are and they're going to make this easy for you. No, you should hear resistance. That sounds like fight. That sounds like struggle. That sounds like turmoil. That sounds like vulnerability. That sounds like alienation. It might be hard. Like, yeah, resistance. That's fighting. Like this is not going to be because I think that's their strategy. That's their strategy, is to run out the clock. Their strategy is to threaten you like that. Well, you don't know how much longer your grandmother's really going to be around. Do you really want to pick this fight with grandma? Like, and you should really say, it really disappoints me then that I'm talking to my mother and we're having to sit here and have a conversation about whether or not we should be able to tell grandma the truth. What kind of person did she raise you to be if that's the pressure you're putting on me? And is that what you're telling me? Because then tell me that. Tell me they're so old and so feeble that they can't handle the truth. Tell me that. Like make them say it. Make them say it.
Help me understand, Pakalaka. Do your grandparents not know you're an atheist?
I think they know, but they still feel like it can be safely ignored or disregarded at family functions. And then they feel like it's okay for them to be as religious as they want to be, prayer, talk about God, religious paraphernalia all over the house, and then I'm supposed to act comfortable with it. And it's like, look, if y'all can evangelize, y'all can speak up. I could speak up too. I have a voice. I have things to say.
You got a right to say if we all have to read a scripture. And can I read the entirety of Ezekiel 20?
And I think more of us should go there because we're really being abused by these people. Like, and the thing is, I think we're at a point where we know, and I think that really, I hate to say this, but I really do believe religion is evil, right? I think that's what it is. I think it's a socially acceptable way to lie, and it's a socially acceptable form of tribalism, and people have to be religious about it because it wouldn't be acceptable otherwise. It's not just a compartmentalization of thinking about the religion and the faith claims and the scriptures and stuff like that. It's the compartmentalization of how you respond to it, right? So the fact that most Muslims are born into a Muslim family, most Christians are born into a Christian family, most Jews are born into a Jewish family, that should tell you right there it ain't about the truth. And that these religions, if one of them is true, why is it having such a hard time spreading to people who aren't born into it? Why can't other people discover it based on evidence? And so I think at some level, people know, and it's really about allegiance to their people, their community, their identity, and stuff like that. But we're in a different situation because they're at least ignorant of it. They at least believe it. I just think it's a very different situation for those of us that don't believe. Okay, here's what I was getting at. It's like at some point they coax us into going along with it. And that's a problem because we're supposed to know better. And there's really never a good time. There's really never a good time. It's always, first off, a lot of us don't really see our families or spend a lot of close time with our families unless it is the holidays or some special occasion. So that limits your opportunities right there. But even if even if because like for me, it really doesn't have anything to do with the holidays. There's absolutely shit to do with it. The only thing that really has to do with the holidays is that the holidays put actual dates on the calendar where family calls you and says, what are you doing? Are you going to come home for Thanksgiving? Are you going to come home for Christmas or whatever, for New Year's, whatever it is? But other than that, it has nothing to do with the way I'm feeling right now has nothing to do with the holidays. I'm just tired of going through holiday after holiday after holiday, marking the turn of yet another year with no movement or progress on the whole thing. And also, I just see it all as so fake. Like once, and this is something I've been telling to a lot of people too. I think the reason a lot of us don't want to confront our friends and family is because when you realize it doesn't move them, you realize they never cared about whether it was true or not to begin with. Because somebody who was really sincere couldn't ignore that. I couldn't tell you, my one black friend, we're all here, we're all gonna say words or whatever, we all do this thing, it's so important to us. And then you go like, I don't even think that's real. And then we go like, oh, well, that's cool. Okay, well, we have a difference of opinion. All right, well, you can sit over there. All right, come on, y'all, let's go. Like, in no other area, no other area of life would you do that.
Well, I have last week I was sitting in the living room with my daughter, and I wanted to play a Rankin Bass show for her, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where they're like the little puppets and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And my wife goes, no. I'm like, why not? Like, this is fun. Well, I don't want her to become autistic from being exposed to too much television, and then she started showing me stuff from the internet that it says, baby that young shouldn't have any TV exposure. And I'm trying to celebrate our daughter's childhood with our daughter. And this is one of the ways. I don't have Christmas books here, other than my Bible has a Christmas story that is suspect as best and far less entertaining than talking reindeer.
Right.
And a talking snowman. But in her mind, what she read made an impact with her, right? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Well, for me, I can sort of dismiss the Christmas story as fact, right? I would poke fun of my mom for watching the same Hallmark shows every year that are essentially like there's 2 or 3 plots. The shows are basically all the same. But for her, it's a great way to pass the time. It's entertaining, and some of those are meaningful to her. Okay, well, that's not to be poo-pooed. I guess because I have like an anthropological interest to why humans do what they do and how that sort of thing, I'm less offended because I'm fascinated. And I'm a live and let live kind of guy to the core.
But that's what I would challenge, because I'm a biological anthropologist too, and I do think it's easy, but I do think sometimes we use that as an excuse, like not an excuse, but it's like there's a lot that we could experience, okay? And you see how people live, and I always want to, and also you do want to respect. I don't want to say I don't respect. Like if I go to somewhere and somebody says, I want to introduce you to my culture, You know what I'm saying? I want to show you our temple. I want to introduce. I'm not going to go off on them like that. You understand what I'm saying? But there comes a time in life when in your own life, it's not about being a spectator. And I think that this is something that happens, quite frankly, with a lot of our culture, because a lot of our culture is privileged, a lot of our culture is dominated by white people and their understanding of things. And a lot of times, one of the faults of toxic caucasity is overemphasis on cultural understanding and appreciation and stuff like that, because it is important to understand and appreciate how other people live, but it's also important to be accountable for your role in the world around you. And to me, we have certain responsibilities, especially somebody like me, because I'm educated and I can't keep pretending people's ignorance is on the same par with my education. I can't keep pretending the things you were lied to and told as a child have the same validity as the hard-won knowledge that I had to go sit at the feet of masters for over a decade to understand about the real world. And now at some point, I, as the educated person, have to go about creating a better world and a more responsible life for people based on what I've learned. And I can't keep going back and saying, oh, well, y'all still want to play in this pigsty over here, but I have to leave it alone because if I don't, then people say I'm arrogant or I'm being elitist. No, actually it'd be elitist for me to say, go fuck off, and then look down my nose at y'all and ridicule you. But instead, I'm trying to come to you and say, like, you got to stop this. This doesn't work. And that is a difference for me. Like, if I'm just meeting somebody, a friend wants to take me to show me something, like, that's all well and good. When it comes to you're a part of my life, and now you want me to participate in this thing, or you want to bring this thing into my home, or you want to introduce this thing to my community or my loved ones, it's different now. It's different.
I wanted to lead into The Grinch That Stole Christmas, that story, which takes place
I have on
once
my
upon a
Grinch
snowflakes.
leggings.
Excellent. So you will remember that after the Grinch took all the presents, the people of the town still got together and sang that Bahu Dore song. Because for them, it wasn't about all the material possessions. It was about gathering together and celebrating together the community. Now, Pocket Locker, in all of this, you're not wrong. You're not the Grinch for saying, like, look, you did check the story out, right? There's no evidence that a person can actually be born in 2 different years, but Jesus was evidently born in 2 different years, according to the Bible. A virgin can't get pregnant if she remains a virgin and there's no artificial insemination. Like, a spirit doesn't come upon her and do that, other than, what did I call it in that one introduction? The horny spirit or something like that.
Yeah.
The horny spirit overcame Mary, and she got pregnant with the baby. We can find hole after hole after hole in the Christmas narrative that's in the Bible. It's just something we can do with very little effort on our own. You're right. My scholarship that I spent hours upon hours upon hours gathering together, right? Learning, careful study, reading, listening to lectures and things like that. So where my opinion of the story is that there's parts of it that cannot be factual. And then someone else's ignorance, whose answer to my arguments is simply no. It's wild that that's what their retort is, right?
Yeah.
I'm invalidating what they believe. So maybe, Pocket Locker, what we need to acknowledge, and I'd love to see what the audience has to say about this. Maybe what we need to acknowledge is that it doesn't matter that it's not true. to them more than it matters that it's not true to us. Right? So their level of don't carishness far exceeds ours. If we don't care this much that it's not true, like, yeah, it's not true. I'm not gonna waste my time believing it. Well, they don't care that it's not true. They still want to participate. They still want to play. They still want to gather. And for some pocket locker, we know it's innocent, right? Maybe for your grandparents, because they aren't going to discriminate against this group or that group that
I
doesn't
think they will.
fall in line with what.
I don't think there's any innocence anymore. Like, because
No.
I think there's innocence in the sense of it's not their fault that they believed it to begin with. But if you believe it, if you take it seriously, if you live based on it, you are going to victimize yourself or other people. And yeah, I think that, because even my grandparents, I could tell you, incredibly homophobic people growing up.
Are they? Oh, were they? Okay.
They didn't understand all that. We had to lay down some lines, and they had to grow on that, but they didn't grow because of the Bible. They grew because of family. My mom grew up in a spare the rod, spoil the child household. Go get the switch. They were abusive parents. That's part of the conversation I have to have with my mother, is you keep doing all this to honor your parents. Your parents were abusive parents. You haven't yet been able to recognize their abusive nature. And in its turn, you've repaid me some of those same abuses. The cycle has to stop. This is what, like, me and Uncle Bobby and Bar have really been trying to get on, is like, we have to stop putting them so much in the center and remember the damage that they've done to us and the people in their lives, and stop the cycle, because Christians want the cycle to continue no matter what. For those of you that are like my age, you already know what I'm talking about. Maybe grandma and them was in it, moms and them was in it, we came up in it, and now we thinking like, how do I stop the next generation from getting into it? But if you like me and you honest about it, it's starting to feel like it's too late, because my little cousins they grew up in the church and they was raised in it, and now I see some of them that's in college and beyond college, and they're in choirs, and they're always putting religious stuff all over this stuff. Like, it happens so fast. They were just little kids, little tykes, and it was all cute because their moms was taking them to Easter church and they was all dressed up looking cute. But before you know it, it's 10 years later, and they've gone from 8 to 18, and now they're in the college ministry. Like, and it just happens so fast. And if you keep waiting, 5 years from now, they're gonna be 23 and they're gonna have a kid of their own. And it's just gonna, and now you're gonna be 2 generations behind. Like, it's just we really have to do something, y'all. It's not gonna go our way based on debunking counter apologists. I'm sorry. It just isn't. That's not going to do anything for anybody in our real lives. It's not going to do anything to reverse the tide of what we're seeing in our society and in our politics. Like, we have to do something about this. They will not come to this on their own. First off, to be honest with you, what it would take for most of them is it would take their pastor getting up there and confessing that it's all bullshit. And even then, they would just replace the pastor.
They just replaced it. We've seen it again and again.
High. He fell into sin. He watched the Christopher.
What's he dealing with?
Yeah, what's he dealing with?
That he's not.
He fell. Yeah.
See, Satan has him in his icy grasp. Yeah.
Yeah.
We hear things like that.
Look,
even though
it literally takes dragging kids out of bed, kicking and screaming on Sunday mornings to get them into this. It's going to take dragging people, kicking and screaming to get them out of it. I don't like that, but I don't see another way. And I'm honestly losing my mind
Hmm.
trying to compensate for these people. Like I'm actually going crazy.
Well, don't go crazy.
Because I
There's
feel like
no
I have
there's no bad
to ask
intention.
people like, is lying bad? Is it bad to lie? Lies are okay. Lies are bad. Okay. Lies are bad. Is it me or are lies bad? Like just checking. Is is it moral to worship something that tells you to go enslave people? Like, is that okay? Is it okay to worship an enslaver? Is it okay to worship and enslave? That, like, do you see me asking? Like, I'm
Well,
sincere. Like, I
well,
get this weird. I'm like sincerely asking. I'm like, please, like, y'all, is it
there's
okay to worship a genocidal monster? I thought genocide was bad. Like, somebody help me.
there's a guy. There's a couple guys that do this. On YouTube, they have a channel called Deconstruction Zone, and I don't know the guy's name, but he is masterful at putting Christians to task when it comes to answering that question. A lot of Christians, pocket locker, don't even know those things are in the Bible about slavery and how you can make someone your slave, how you can sell your child into slavery. They don't even know that's in there. And they will come back with, well, that's the Old Testament. We have a new covenant. And then you can get it. He'll go right to it where he'll show them in the scripture. It says you still have to obey the old covenant. It's an addendum. They're not getting rid of terms. They're grafting a new set of people in. They're adding terms, but they don't hear that from their minister. Wait, we have a covenant that's in addition to the old covenant. Doesn't replace it,
Yeah, so I think it's
and they have a hard
definitely.
time with that.
I definitely think it's helpful. I definitely, Sarah was saying counter apologetics can be educational to people. I think it is. I think it's great, but you have to be honest. I think about who it's educational for. I think it's
Mhm.
mostly educational for the deconstructing. And
I think that's such a true statement. It's like Ozempic is for it's for diabetics to help them lose weight and control their A1C. But somebody who is a whatever musician or whatever that's famous might want to take it to help them lose weight. And they're not even, their blood sugar is probably pretty good and they don't have to worry about that. But they'll take it because it offers the benefit, a benefit that they want. Well, the deconstructing are happy to look. Why? Because we're checking it out. Wait, I have my doubts. How? Let me doubt my doubts. So I'm going to go ahead and explore and see what the evidence really says rather than getting the Bible spoon fed to me. What does it truly say? And not only that, but what is the actual context that it's saying this in? Who is the audience? Is the audience actually me?
yeah, it's like I could
And
tell you.
ultimately, hold on a
No,
second,
okay,
and,
good.
and I'll just want to say, and ultimately, like many of our audience, and you and I did, we asked the question, how can I be more moral than the God in this book? Why am I clearly more moral? Like it's not even a horse race. I'm far away ahead of the God of the Bible in my morality. And I don't sit there and fold my arms and watch people starve to death without even trying to feed them a little, right? If it's right in front of me, I don't ignore it. But the God of the Bible can. Sexual assaults, God of the Bible can. He can ignore all that stuff. And yet the book says he'll use it for good somehow. Well, what kind of person, what kind of individual makes certain that people suffer so they can get the credit for it?
Yeah, God. Matter of fact, check out Durante Lamar, y'all. Durante's channel has been just cooking lately. He made a video on endorsement Christianity. I think it's so on point, so profound. But one of the great points he makes is he's talking about Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx basically says God blessed him with the stroke because he was out here performing and doing all of this stuff, and he wasn't giving God the glory. But that's and again, crazy thing to say. but a lot of Christians say crazy stuff like that. What baffles my mind is why again are we as non-believers going along with that? Why do we think it's okay for the old lady across the street to think that it's okay to worship something that would give you a stroke because you weren't giving it glory? Could you imagine if a parent said that? Oh, my kid had a soccer game, they were the MVP. They were interviewed on TV about it afterwards. They thanked their coaches and their teammates and their discipline, but they didn't thank me for driving them back and forth to soccer practice. So when they got home, I gave them a stroke to punish them. And we will literally sit there as non-believers and act like that's cute, instead of just being like, I'm sorry, but that's gross and disgusting. And why would you
associate
worshiping a
yourself with such a
monster?
person?
Yeah. All right, y'all. Look, that's my rant. Let's go ahead and get into this. But look, that's where I'm at. It's silliness. We're gonna be dealing with some more Christian silliness. Just a lot of craziness. But look, it's good to see y'all. I see Slug is here, AR, Sarah, PC. Y'all don't forget Pragmatic Crystal has a party coming up. There's a link in the description for PC's party. It's on December 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Skeptic Spin channel. So there's a link in the description. Check that out. I see Simma's in the chat. Hi, lovely. Christopher, Native Atheist, Sarah, Katina. I think Dave was in here. See, I let myself, Christopher, I don't let myself get behind. What up, UC? I let myself get behind on the chat, and now there's a lot of names to read. When you do it at the beginning, there's only like a couple people here. Hey, Ember, good to see you. It's good to see y'all. Look at the trees. All right, let's go ahead and check out this video. You know, the boy AR is in here. I don't know if I mentioned AR before. Always good to see AR here.
By the way, I just want to, if you're not,
Benton Molly's here. What's up? Carrie and Chrysler. Go ahead.
This is Pocket Locker. You teach genetics. So the astonishing thing, you'll if you ever have children, you'll see this, is the stuff you never showed your kid that your kid does. So I'm watching our podcast on the screen, so there's latency on my computer.
Yeah.
And I was doing this. My daughter falls asleep like this.
Oh, really?
A lot of the time. And there's funny. A few things that I do. I'm like, I've never shown you that I do that, and she does it. I'm appalled. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, just like my little girl.
Mm-hmm. They are watching.
So it's not just that, it's freaking in there. It's sewn into the programming, if you will. It's when they're in their DNA somewhere, the habits. I find it weird, but I sure hope she doesn't get fat like me. My gosh, I've been fat for 3 decades.
Hey, Austin. So Austin said they are doing a for the Flat Earther final experiment thing right now. And again, I think that'll be a great example because they'll go there. They're doing something. They took like all these famous Flat Earthers somewhere to observe Antarctica, the curvature or the shot. I don't know, wherever they're taking them. But I guarantee you, the rationalizations and the cognitive dissonance, it'll start in real time. That's what that'll really be. You'll see in real time, oh, well, the angles, well, it's just the
money.
It's just crazy. All right, y'all.
This isn't true because of the money will stop.
Pretty much. All right, so y'all, we're talking about, can Christians get high? And it's just, like I said, we said we'd do this a while ago, so we're doing it. But I just want to say off the top that it's just an example of how silly these faiths are. Like, this is silly. This is a silly thing to be talking about. And he's sitting down with like Stewart and Cliff Connectly. And it just shows you that it's these apologists, they don't even really present themselves as apologists. They really are trying to be taken seriously as like ministers or men of God, as like holy, righteous people. And so then you have these Christian right-wing influencers like turning to them for like guidance through life. Like just know that this whole setup is gross and disgusting, and all of it makes me want to throw up. And also it just shows you how silly Christians are, that this is what they think morality is. that morality is, are you sober? Do you drink? Do you watch pornography? Do you cheat on your spouse? Like, it's all ego driven lifestyle stuff that is about the person, that makes no difference to anybody else in the real world. And that is, I just think, one of the things I would like the few Christians that ever watch my content or our content to really think about is how silly your moral issues are in light of what the world is really going through right now.
Can I read a couple scriptures for you, Pocket Locker, before we
Go
begin?
for it.
Genesis 1:29 through 31. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb yielding seed. I don't want to read the rest, but anyway, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for food, and to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth. Well, marijuana's an herb, right? Am I wrong? Is marijuana not an herb?
Exactly.
Okay, Genesis 2:5. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for the Lord had not caused it to rain upon the earth. Now look at this. Now I'd never thought about this before. It talks about there wasn't rain, so these things didn't exist, and yet there is light without a sun. How can it be? How can it be? Anyway.
Yep. It's pretty, and also for the record, I think that ancient Jewish people used cannabis as part of their religious rituals. We find we find it at their sites, and scholars also believe that cannabis is in the original recipe for the anointing oil. So, you know, historically speaking, it obviously is closely associated with the Jewish faith and their traditions. But I think over time, as you've evolved towards, you know, almost like purity culture, I think sobriety culture has become very dominant in most mainstream religious threads seem to be very serious about sobriety. And I honestly think sobriety is a very silly spiritual quest. I think these people conflate everything with addiction. Right. And like, yeah, okay, you can make a good case to me that like use things in moderation so you don't become addicted. But I do not value sobriety. I do not think being sober is a moral classification, right? Like, you have great people who are sober. You could have some of the greatest people like Uncle Bobby likes to knock one back from time to time. You could have assholes who are sober and assholes who are drunk all the time. So I really think that this whole class, and again, it goes back to what I was saying before, which is that a lot of God's laws and God's rules and the things that Christians do, they're not really about morality. They're about being set apart. They're about distinguishing you from the world by putting more constraints on you than regular people have to deal with. But it doesn't actually make you a better person to be sober, at least in my opinion. I think it is a moral non sequitur.
I got a question strictly for me, and by all means, go deep on me and beat me up if you need to, because this is a demon that I've been trying to fight for a long time.
Go deep on you. I'm gonna just say you're talking to the most shallow people on the planet, but making you feel bad, they would love to do. They would love to.
I can't get out of things that I love, right? Thank God I love things that God loves, so I'm very easy with a lot of things I could do. But for example, there's a lot of stuff I mess up on, and the problem with it is I don't listen to people around me to do what I do, right? I listen to my heart. But what happens if my heart's leading me in the bad direction? So taking that vertical up, marijuana. I don't drink. I don't drink because I lose control of myself, and not.
Y'all know I drink, I smoke. Cheers, gang. I just need to give the gang a little cheers, a little mode.
I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs.
I know this sounds.
I've never done
Boo.
Well, dude,
Boo.
as many medications as I take to stay alive, it's probably a good thing that I don't drink, smoke, or do non-prescription drugs. I'm doing enough prescription drugs to kill a healthy person.
Yeah.
So
People at the club and drinking and stuff, I don't like being at clubs because I look like I'm with a lot of demons. Just doing, guys just looking to see who they could smash. Girls are just completely blacked out. They have boyfriends at home. Like, when I'm around these things, I feel like my skin's about to explode into fire. So I'm like, okay, I don't like drinking out with people. It's just, they're not at their best quality state of mind, and I don't want to be a part of that. But
Okay. Now, this is another thing that's just like so weird. It's like, Christians are always smashing together their like weird sin stuff and the culture. Is there something wrong with drinking? Like I said, I don't think it's right or wrong. I think it's neutral. Same thing with getting high.
it's just a choice.
But what they do is, well, when I see people getting high, you know, they're always in a dark room in a den, and they don't have jobs, and they don't pay their child support, and they just spent their last dollar. I mean, yeah, well, that they sound like shitty parents and bad employees, right? Like, oh, well, I don't drink because every time I drink, you know, the guys go home and they beat their wives, or the women, they're at a club and their boyfriend's at home and they're shaking their booty on some guy that's not their boyfriend. Yeah, they sound like they're terrible romantic partners. like Christians can never. They can never just imagine like the normal thing. They can never just imagine like my introduction to drinking was like my parents, when we would go out to dinner, once in a while they would have a glass of wine with dinner. And I thought that's what drinking was. You go to dinner, you have a glass of wine with dinner, you go home. To this day, like that's literally a lot of my alcohol consumption. Like I went out to dinner, went to lunch, me, my dad's ex-girlfriend, we all had drinks. We sat there, we were at Cheesecake Factory. The day after Thanksgiving, we did some shopping, we called it a day. Like, present that because they know if they present that, it'll sound silly, it'll sound dumb. So it has to be the abuse, right? They can never present the moderate case or distinguish it. Everything they talk about is abuse. That way it seems like more of a serious conversation.
Smoke weed, though, I'm giggly. I am stupid, but I do have a firm grasp of what's kind of going on here. At night, I like to partake in 1 or 2 joints. Now, for you good men, I don't know if you know what that is, but it's ripping a bong is grabbing a plant from God's earth. Right?
Yeah, growing food is more helpful to society. Hell yeah.
Is it wrong for me to unwind afterwards and rip a bad boy? You know what I mean? Like, get as high as my God could possibly take me.
Oh my God, no, dude.
I'm going to ask you in a blasphemous way because I want to relate to other pagans like me. Okay?
No, this is such a good thing to to ask and to know.
Well, I'm going to ask it the way that I feel. Listen, God created it.
Yep.
I just light it on fire and it acts me up a little bit.
But this is what I can't stand. Like, this is what I can't stand. Like, we are asking Christian apologists for moral guidance. And then you hear her cheerleading it. Oh, this is such a good question. For Cliff and Stuart Connectly? like these dudes are liars and they're assholes, right? I guarantee you Cliff and Stuart Connectly are either right-wing MAGA fascist or the type of Christian that has nothing to say to or about MAGA right-wing fascist. Meaning they're probably monsters that are ruining society, but at best they are completely and utterly useless to stop sane. And that's what I mean about like kind of feeling bad about doing this. Let's keep it real. Let's go look at the dates. This is from a year ago. So we planned to do this, I think, like a week or two probably before the election or something. And then, like, I don't know, schedules and shit got messed up. And then I wanted to rant about other stuff. So this kept getting pushed off. And it's just like, yeah, it bothers me that like this is Christians. Like, have you ever seen an apologist make a video about MAGA and their support of evangelical support of Trump? I've never seen it. Like, they don't, and this is what I mean about. Go ahead.
There is, well, no, I know of one guy, but continue. The Antichrist.
Yeah, for the most part, they don't do it, and so it's very difficult to take them seriously about is drinking immoral? Can I watch porn? Is Jesus gonna hate me if I take a shot of whiskey? When you have nothing to say about mass deportation, you're supposed to be all about how you treat the least of these. You have nothing to say about a twice insurrected, 36-time felony convicted person purporting mass deportation. You have nothing to say about discrimination against LGBTQ people. Oh, let me guess why. Because you discriminate against LGBTQ people. Like, and then I'm supposed to sit here and take these assholes seriously. This is what I'm saying. This is hard for me, man. This is tough. It's a tough sell.
Is it bad? And am I considered a drunken fool if I do this?
That's such an interesting question because I have relatives now, CBD oil and all. So it depends on the grade, right?
Nah, I get pretty high, bro.
You go way further.
No.
Exactly,
CBD's what I take to calm me down, bro. Like I'm talking, and I'm just sitting there watching, and then gluttony. Oh God, gluttony is such a bad thing. I got pizza and ice cream. Listen, do I think God's proud of me? No. But is it something that's gonna cast me away into hell because I keep practicing it? And I love it, man. I like smoking and chilling in my house, and I feel like it's more beneficial than me. Yeah,
that's true.
Do you get what I'm saying? And so I'm trying to find my way into the acceptance of it. And if it's wrong, I'll try my best to stop it. And if it's right, we're lighting one right now, baby.
We're gonna get Cliff on it right now. First time ever.
He's gonna jump off the cliff if he smokes what I have.
Cliff, he doesn't.
The other thing too, like, to be real with y'all, this is hard for me because, again, I come from a really religious family and wasn't a joking matter. I'm a medical marijuana user. And more than that, I was the president of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws at Penn State. And I really thought of it as my job to try to legalize marijuana in State College before I graduated. Stupidly, I thought that would be good practice for law school. But that motivation came through tears because I was in my dorm room crying with my friends because here I was on a full academic scholarship and me and my friends used marijuana for what I call like positive peer pressure. Like that was our thing when we got to college was to be positive peer pressure for each other. So we would all get high every day. We called ourselves the track team, but we wouldn't get high until everybody got all their work done. That's how we kept everybody like on schedule. So we literally we would all be sitting around your room like, my one black friend, when you gonna be done with that engineer homework, bro? Cause this joint and these bowls, they ready to roll, bro. We gotta wait for you. So we were really trying to like keep each other on point. And then, it was students that they were losing their scholarships and losing their financial aid. And if you get a drug charge when you're on financial aid, like they take your financial aid and you can't get financial aid anymore. And then they had this whole task force because when I went to college was the very first year of Facebook. Matter of fact, Facebook had just started and you had to go to like a big major school to like have it. Most colleges didn't even have Facebook, like, because it was that type of thing. But the police were on there as like with like fake profiles and having snitches and all this, and they were running sting operations, like getting kids to like meet up to exchange weed or whatever, and then busting kids, like running whole ass sting operations, y'all. Whole ass sting operations with the FBI, the state police, the county police, the local police, and the campus police department. 5 motherfucking levels of law enforcement involved to bust kids, to bust fucking freshman kids for smoking weed on campus. And we were told the justification for these laws was Jesus and God and the need to be sober and all of this fucking bullshit. And my family fucking dragged me out of fucking bed one day and had a whole ass crack to Christ intervention. I had fucking 4 ministers in my goddamn living room telling me about how they used to be drug addicts and pimps and all of this fucking shit.
Pimps.
And they were addicted, and then Jesus turned their lives around and all this shit, like literally not knowing the difference between hard drugs like fucking cocaine and heroin and fucking weed. But my point is, motherfuckers was really going to jail over this shit. Y'all was really fighting the whole ass war on drugs on this shit. I have a real criminal record with weed charges on it. I've really gone to jail for this shit, y'all. And now y'all want to sit around and joke about it and act like it's all fun and fucking games. Nah, bruh. I ain't with that shit. That shit is triggering because y'all was acting like it was such a big moral thing, but all of a sudden now it's legal. It's good, but now all of a sudden it's oh well, that's so interesting that you should ask. I don't know. Well, who knows? Because now they know it's hip and it's cool and they don't want to sound unpopular. They now all of a sudden they're with it. But y'all was the ones leading the fucking charge for the war on drugs. Matter of fact, most Christians is still the reason that just now in 2024 states voted no on legalizing marijuana. So what the fuck are we talking about? That's what I mean. Like, it's time to stop playing games with these people.
Drink alcohol, he never has, but we got him on a boat once, and he thought Mike's Hard Lemonade was just lemonade.
No,
and he was just when he hits
You got
lemonade, he just goes.
Well, you know what? Jesus turned water into wine.
Thank you.
He turned up.
And the gallons, the amount of that was supposedly just insane.
No,
like, absolutely.
Nah. Like people back in the day, they're like, "Yo, Jesus is here. We got the good stuff." Like, I don't know if that's bad. I'm sorry. I was trying to make a joke.
I'll let you give your poison ivy illustration. But wait. Let me just say this one thing. It's of the earth. I'll let you take that.
Boom.
But I think it just gets.
All right. I just saw myself. I know this is nitpicking. I know I'm nitpicking. But y'all see this move?
Turn water into wine.
Thank you.
He turned up.
And the gallons, the amount of that was supposedly just insane.
No,
like, absolutely.
Nah. Like people back in the day, they're like, "Yo, Jesus is here. We got the good stuff." Like, I don't know if that's bad. I'm sorry. I was trying to make a joke.
That right there. I don't know if that's bad. Sorry, I was trying to make a joke. And he looks up to the sky like that. I don't know how many of y'all caught that, but for me, that's one of them moves that tells you this is a podcaster or a content creator, not serious at all about faith, not serious at all about religion, but in front of a pastor, in front of a churchy guest or religious guest, now that's all of a sudden like making these little quips like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, God, is God going to be offended by my joke? Sorry, God. I was just like, I don't know if y'all caught that, but they might catch that. Like, that's when somebody do something like that, you could tell they don't take this seriously and they're putting on for their guests. Like if they had Joe Rogan on the other side or whatever, they would have never done that. They would have never done that. That was I gotta joke like I'm a serious Christian around this priest. It's a perfect example of endorsement Christianity. It is a perfect example of endorsement Christianity. I don't really take Christianity seriously. I'm not really in the word, but sure, I'm on board with it, and I'll play along since I got this pastor guy and these pastor guys on my stream.
Okay.
I'll let you give your poison ivy illustration. But wait. Let me just say this one thing. It's of the earth. I'll let you take that.
Boom.
But
it's a great point,
I think it just gets to that point. It is healthier than alcohol. A lot of people say
Let's go.
And so I've done some conch out of the shells in Costa Rica.
You smoked?
Well,
you
smoked? It's been a bit.
Y'all don't leave your edibles out. We had to take a fucking dog to the emergency vet one time. We thought my roommate's dog was gonna die, y'all. This dog was fucking spinning and like couldn't stand up straight and couldn't. And we took it to the doctor and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. And then finally they came out to us and they were like, "Is there any cannabis in your house that this dog could have gotten into?" And we were like, "Oh shit." They're like, "Yeah, we think this dog is really, really high." And we were like, so
$4,000. $4,000.
Oh, it was a ton of money. It was really expensive. But yeah, don't leave them edibles out. Them shits is for real.
Costa Rica?
I gotta move out here. Maybe it'll be a little more consistent. We wouldn't be able to push back against it here. So,
This is gonna get clipped. The whole church is gonna be like, "You guys get stoned." If you tripping Mike's hard, it's over for you guys. The internet's coming for you guys.
He got his little fish tattoo.
It's the whole matter too. Well, something connected.
All right, I'll change my
DMT,
mind. He's a serious
psilocybin.
Christian. You got a
Whoa,
fish
buddy.
tattoo.
Whoa.
It's fascinating.
Where
though.
did you go?
Have
You
you
acid?
seen?
You
Hold on.
went to acid?
Have you seen?
Wait, I didn't think. Wait, you know these celebrities like, I don't think they're a serious Christian. Oh wait, they have an only God can judge me tattoo. Wait, they're one of the real ones. I'm kidding, y'all. It's all bullshit. It's all endorsement Christianity.
40% of hard
Scripture
atheists
tattoos
became theists after these trips.
100%.
Like, how do you explain that?
Because it goes.
And
it
is
takes
God
you into-
using that?
So
Even though it's so unhealthy?
I agree, and I also it's like okay, this is okay. Now we're really
I would
diving
rabbit
in.
trail. You
This
want
is
a
how
quick
I
answer?
explain it to my mom and dad, right? So first of all, just to let you know, I might be a pansy for this, but when I was about to smoke weed, I sat my parents down first, and I wanted to make sure it was okay with them. I was having a really hard time sleeping. I had insomnia, and the doctors are like, "Yo, let's pop pills like Whitney Houston." And I said, "No, fam, I'm not okay with that." And my mom said, "Nuh-uh, smoked weed, but I'm not proud of it. But I'd rather you smoke weed than do drugs like that." And I was like, "Okay." And then I was smoking, and I explained it this way. You have a hammer. You could either build a beautiful home with it, or you could kill people with it, right? It's how you use it. Mind you, how I've been using it is not the right way. But is this God's plan? And are we allowed to use it? Because isn't there a scripture, but this is such a stoner scripture, that like,
Can't wait.
that it, like every herb was for us or something like that?
Can you
That's
pause
why I
it?
don't remember my
Can you pause it, Pocket Locker?
Yeah.
Maybe we at Hot Program should sell a shirt with the marijuana leaf on it that says "God has a plan for you."
Yes. I like that actually. I like that.
God has a plan for you.
God has a plan for you. Yes.
Trademark 2024 Hot Program.
But look, y'all, I was into it. My family, y'all know I come from a family of ministers. They used to call me the Rican Deacon because I worked at a church, but I was always stoned. So I really, even at my most, matter of fact, I would say definitely the times I was strongest in my faith as a Christian, I definitely was using a lot. So I think all these conversations are silly, but yeah, God's got a plan for you for sure. I don't know. I never thought that there was anything immoral about using weed. And even when I was a Christian, I thought all of these little lifestyle things were silly. Matter of fact, even like, I might be getting too personal here, but like, even like my sex life, like I never thought that like, if I have sex with somebody, God's going to be mad at me because we're not married. Because I was like, marriage is an institution. Like, if I love somebody, it shouldn't matter. Like, I was a weird Christian, y'all. I was like an atheist. I had humanist values. I see it now. Now it's so obvious. But back then, I just thought I was a weird Christian that didn't want to follow the rules.
So funny.
Oh, shoot.
I don't know.
Curse, by the way, right
I
there.
know.
That was a curse.
Whoa, whoa.
This is cheese. Keep it clean.
Come on, buddy. We're talking about God here. What's wrong with you? Jessica, get my bong out. Just kidding. Okay, so what is your...
All righty. First point. Some people say to me, well, God made it, so why don't you smoke it? Well, yeah, God made poison ivy. Please don't suck on it, okay? We live in a messed up world. Everything's been cursed. God created a good world, really good, but then when we rebelled against God, nature got cursed. Everything got cursed. We live in an
Sarah, you're right. That's what we need to be talking to. Y'all need to believe in taxes. Tax the churches, y'all. I'm gonna do a whole episode. We're gonna come back to that. Tax the churches is like, I might enlist in an actual war to get the churches taxed. There's not too many things I could think of that I would say you might get me to enlist in a real army for. But tax the churches, first off, you're gonna have to be in a real army because it's gonna be a cold day in hell before churches agree to pay taxes. But imagine the real world problems we could solve. That's again like, but that should be another conversation stopper for us, y'all. And when they come and talk to us about morality, we should hit them with do you know how much good y'all could do if you actually paid your taxes? Yeah, don't talk to us about how great you are.
unfair, messed up world. So we got to be wise. We got to be shrewd. So, no, just because God made something doesn't mean I need to smoke it or suck on it. Okay, I need to be wise. Second point. Cliff, no. There is no way you should be drinking alcohol. Whoa. The first miracle that Jesus performed was turning water into Coca-Cola. No. No way.
But can we pin that real quick? Wasn't that because he was honoring his mother and he was showing that you must honor your mother? Because he referenced and he said, woman.
My one black friend, what do you say when a grown man asks why Jesus turned water into wine and what was he honoring his, like, I just can't, like, bro, we really talking about his first magic trick. Like, grown people is really sitting here, well, like, he can't be against alcohol. His first miracle was turning water into wine.
Okay. The Bible talks a lot about doing things in moderation. Even drinking, especially drinking. You do it in moderation. You don't do it to get drunk. You don't do it to embarrass yourself or the others around you. If people were getting high, right? I think that's sort of a violation. If they're gonna do a direct comparison to alcohol, specifically wine, you're supposed to drink wine because it's not contaminated like much of the water probably was, if they didn't purify the water some kind of way. So that's more than likely how it is to be used responsibly. So if you have like whatever kind of marijuana this guy's talking about that's quite powerful, I don't think that's the same thing. I don't think it has that same meaning. A lot of very smart people have worked very hard to grow their marijuana plants in a way to increase the level of this chemical or that chemical, or or get a specific appearance, much like we human beings cultivated bananas, or broccoli, which is a grass. People have figured out how to get what they want out of it, so to speak. Well, Jesus wasn't producing, Everclear with when he turned water into wine. He wasn't making Boone's Farm, evidently, to get people sauced. They were just trying to enjoy and celebrate the evening. However, I will say, how many people were at this wedding that they ran out of wine? Or how much wine were these people at this wedding drinking?
Yeah, they were drunk. They were getting drunk.
So yeah, were they drinking to excess? We don't actually know.
I think it's insane to think otherwise. What else would they be doing? I don't. What? No, of course they were.
Well, if it is a parable,
no.
If it is
never happened. It's never happened.
If it is a parable, okay, no, it didn't happen. It's not a true story.
It's never happened.
But if it's a parable, the idea is perhaps there were so many guests at the wedding, because Jesus is talking about the church as his bride. Right?
No, I think you're saying washing. You're trying to make them sound temperate.
I know. I'm just trying to.
They got drunk. They were trying to get, and it's also a silly miracle because God should be able to snap his fingers and get everybody into the state of mind he wants them in. Like, why do we even need wine when God is here? Right, that's what people need to be asking when you hear that story. Why you telling me Jesus in the room and people are like, yeah, but this cup's kind of empty right now. Like, we're running out of booze. Like, Jesus apparently wasn't the miracle man people thought he was.
Doesn't the Bible say my cup runneth over? Come on. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's not my time.
Good point. I like the way you read the scriptures, George. That's awesome. All right. But
if it was about marijuana, I'd be leading you out. Keep going.
All right. So let's be real honest. There is nothing wrong with drinking wine. Jesus turned water into wine, so come on. But he did warn against drunkenness.
So what is the definition of drunkenness?
Good question.
So dumb.
I do not know. I've heard it defined so many different ways. It's incredible.
Why would you lead me? I thought you had the magical answer, man. I was like, let's go.
But let me tell you why I don't drink. I don't drink because the guys I played ball with got her drunk, and then they did anything with her sexually they wanted to do. That's crass manipulation. Anything with her drink. I don't drink because the guys I played ball with got her drunk, and then they did anything with her sexually they wanted.
What?
What?
That didn't make any sense, did it? He said the reason I don't drink
It's because
is
guys he played ball with got her drunk.
got her drunk and did whatever they wanted with her.
Yeah, I feel like something's been edited out of here,
Yeah. Yeah.
like a crime,
Yes.
like a crime.
And yeah, this is a very that got dark quick. And again, like it gets so dark with these people. They're kind of telling on themselves. They're kind of telling us that that's what they would do it for. Like, why can't you can't just sit down and pour a couple of shots into those nice mason jars you got there with your son and host a podcast, play a game, play some cards. Like, why is it you associate getting drunk with cheating or now some kind of sounds like a sexual assault?
But they do. That's crass manipulation. That's using a person.
Fair enough. That's why I don't drink. But I think, okay, you.
No, dummy. The women I get drunk, I make sure want to have sex with me before we start drinking. That's the problem with these fools. They ain't got no game, bro. That's really what it is. Took my girl to a basketball game. We learned about Riz. That's the problem with these Christians. They ain't got no Riz. They don't know how none of this works. They don't know how none of this works.
You rock it up on the booze. It's not my thing. I like to smoke because I feel like I could at least. I know people that smoke and do their job. I have very bad ADHD, so it calms me down.
Yeah.
So I do look at it as a point that it relaxes me, it unwinds me, and I can fall asleep. But I also feel like it's a cop-out because I just want it.
Yep.
So I wanted to know biblically what is the limit to marijuana, if it's okay, if it's not okay. If you do this one more time and you don't have the answer for it.
All right, it's real simple. George has one body.
Yes.
You don't have a spare in the trunk. Your body is a beautiful gift from God.
Amen.
Take good care of it.
Of course.
Use the best science, the best medicine you can. Take good care of that body because you don't have a spare. And as a pastor, I have to sit beside the hospital beds of people who are dying from lung cancer, from smoking, cigarettes.
Yeah. That has a lot of crap in it.
But see, this has always been the thing. Your body is a temple. You can't, and I feel like this is kind of weaselly because again, this was always used to preach a very strict authoritarian sobriety. And now all of a sudden it's, well, I've seen people who have died of liver cancer and it's a really rough way to go. Didn't ask that. That wasn't the question. The question wasn't, can you drink so much alcohol it turns your liver into a moldy sponge and you die? We already know the answer to that question. The question was, is it immoral or not? Like, is it okay for a Christian to do it? And he just can't answer the question. And it just shows you, first off, this is a dumb thing to talk about. This is a silly thing. And again, I need Christians, I need this to sink into your brain. We think you're silly for thinking these are serious moral questions. Second problem, you can't even answer the silly ass questions. And again, apparently now it's just take care of your body, and I'm not really sure what that means. Maybe everything that's legal is cool in moderation. But again, some of us were getting locked up for this shit. Our families were having interventions, all this other type of shit. So which one is it? And I just think it shows that there's no truth to any of this, that you can't even you can't decide one way or the other. And some of it also is, I think, Christianity is softening because they know they're losing their grip on people. And the more strictures that they maintain and uphold, the harder it is to maintain their numbers. I literally think some of them are going to start saying it's okay to have sex outside of marriage soon. They're just going to let go of all
No.
Yeah.
One painful way to go. Please, guys, don't smoke.
Smoke cigarettes?
Right. Don't smoke, or don't smoke anything that's going to harm your lungs.
If you think about it, they kind of do, right? Every time the priests get caught diddling little boys, what do? Forgive them, move on. Oh, it's a sin struggle. Every time pastor gets caught up in a sexual scandal, oh well, it's okay. they don't take that shit seriously. Matter of fact, like even a lot of the endorsement groups, like I know of a Ryan Garcia, he's like a world champion boxer, and they all celebrate him because he's all Jesus, 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 Jesus. The motherfucker is engaged to a porn star. Again, love me some porn. She's a beautiful woman. Knock yourself out. But don't try to come up in my face and then talk to me about the sexual morality of your religion if y'all are going to be celebrating somebody who's married to a porn star. But again, that's how they are. 80% of them voted for Donald Trump. Donald Trump not only had sex with a porn star while his wife was, he
pregnant.
Cheated
on his mistress.
Yeah. Like he cheated on his mistress.
He did. He cheated on his wife, and he cheated on his mistress.
Yeah, he did. And then he lied to them about it. He covered it up to lie to them about it. And they were like, oh yeah, we should vote for him anyway.
He's the kind of guy they should throw right out of the synagogue
over the actual Christian woman who confessed about her affair and said it wasn't her proudest moment. Interesting.
I think it does.
Good. Great.
It takes longer probably to hook up your lungs than cigarettes, but you're still putting smoke in your lungs.
It's proven that it affects your brain. It's proven with brain scans that it affects your brain. It builds holes in your brain because when you smoke, blood rushes from your brain to your extremities. That is hurting your body.
Well, yeah, just if I do cartwheels, it hurts my brain.
But that's what he said. He's like, don't do anything that will hurt your body.
Well, but here's the thing. If I'm okay, well, I'm not even trying to make excuses right now. What happens to the people that overwhelm themselves with thoughts at night and they get anxiety? So is it worse for you to sit there with anxiety or for you to just smoke and watch SpongeBob?
A little wine for the stomach, Paul said. Right?
That's what I'm saying. It's just a little relaxer. I wake up every day and I kill the day as hard as I can. But at night, I don't know how to shut up and sit down. I really don't. And I'm wired up and I just want to go run and I want to do stuff. And then I sit there staring at my ceiling. But if I smoke, I could unwind. I giggle a little bit. I go to bed. And by the way, I don't know if this is blasphemous, but oh God, I really hope I don't get reamed for this. I enjoy reading the Bible when I'm a little stoned because I could focus a little bit more.
Okay, good.
So again, am I using that
to
as
make
an
it more
example
believable
for
or less
I'm
believable?
just trying to get away with it, or is it like true? Because I know ball players, I know athletes, I know fighters
No, it's so
that
weird.
smoke weed every day, and yet their physical form of their body, like we were talking about, is in tremendous shape. Why? Because they're smoking it in a volcano where it's not smoking with a lighter. You could eat it in a brownie. There's ways around it for it to be healthy.
Oh, yeah. That's
You know what I'm
true.
saying? So
Okay, all right.
And full transparency and vulnerability for a second. Cliff has multiple sin bins of candy in his room,
Sugar, that's
in
what I'm
his
saying.
office,
Cliff,
like in the
diabetes
the towel
is a
closet.
serious thing,
I
my friend.
find them every now
Let
and
me
then.
see your ankles.
So now we're
all right, we're good. Just want to make sure.
and that's unhealthy. So
That's right. That's exactly right.
Well, then, to add to that, while you answer it, then what would be the difference between one glass of wine at night versus a few puffs?
I can answer that.
point.
I can answer that.
Give it to her.
One is like you're relaxing and you're vibing, and one's you're straight stupid and uncontrollable.
No, one glass of wine
No,
doesn't.
one glass of wine. Yeah, come on. This is just.
That's what I'm
to you.
saying. So, but if you drink a whole bottle of wine,
Oh,
Unless
the
it-
ignorance.
you act like a wild man. And by the way, wine is like biblically.
This is like a smoke out of stupidity. It's just like puff past the stupidity. And then the next person takes a couple puffs and they say something stupid as shit. And then you pass it around and the next person takes a couple puffs and they say something stupid as shit. That's what I feel like I'm watching. But yeah, I don't see, this was the same shit I used to say when I was a Christian because it didn't work. It didn't work. Like, I hate to say it, but like, Christians have always been fighting the war on drugs, and it never made any sense, especially in the case of marijuana. Marijuana's never killed anybody. It's not physiologically addictive. So none of those arguments about drugs and alcohol ever made any sense in the case of marijuana. And, Stuart and Cliff are kind of speaking from the ignorant perspective where they're just kind of assuming a default level of risk and harm. And now that he's brought up these other things, well, you can use it, so it's actually not that bad. And athletes use it all the time. Look, I'll be honest with you guys. When this is a story that is really big in drug reform circles, but ages ago, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws and some other lobbyists sent a bunch of researchers to actually review like the medical literature about cannabis with Francis Young, who was the chief administrative law judge of the DEA at the time, the Drug Enforcement Agency in the US. And after that session, Francis Young came out and said that marijuana was probably the safest, most therapeutically active substance known to man. And then, of course, the DEA buried that statement and pretended this never happened because it was in the middle of the war on drugs. So it's been a very open secret for a very, very long time, for many, many decades. Matter of fact, that's how my parents used to dismiss me. Like when I would tell them about all the shit that I had learned, they'd always be like, "Oh, we've already known this, and this was known 30 years ago when I was in school." All right, well then why didn't y'all do anything about it? Why are y'all sitting around watching black people be locked up over it then? That's one of the things I really hate about our society, and you will see me constantly being upset about, is I can't stand to be in a situation where everybody sees a problem, knows what needs to be done about it, but can't do it. And so, yeah, like this is all absurd, basically, when you realize that cannabis is actually really beneficial to people, has so many medical uses and very little risk. Again, the primary side effects are hungry, happy, sleepy. And yeah, you know, once in a while somebody has the type of reaction where I would say you shouldn't drive on cannabis. You definitely need to be careful of who you're with when you're on it and what you're doing and where you're at if you haven't used it before and you don't know how you're going to react. You should also probably not take edibles, at least not strong ones, the first time you try it, because that reaction can be pretty strong. But again, the ways to mitigate this risk are not to create paranoia or fear about it. It's just to be like, yeah, make sure you're, you know, with somebody you trust and that you only do a moderate dose until you know how it makes you feel. That's about it. Or be like MyOneBlack Friend and just don't do it at all. But
just don't do it at all.
Just don't do it at all.
Yeah.
No,
that's fine too.
No, but that's why I'm giving the example, because exactly, if I, even though it's biblically okay, if I drank a bottle of it, it wouldn't be okay. So if I had one glass of wine versus a little bit of weed.
So question, if I wake up, work out, I have a great meal, I'm not eating sugar like this buddy old pal over here. And I have a trainer, I'm focused on my work, I treat my loved ones with respect, but at night I like to unwind, not with wine because I don't like the way it tastes or makes me feel. But I smoke a little bit and I unwind. Is this something that God looks at as like, dude, you're just wild in here? Like, nah, that's far from me. Because let me tell you something, I have so much anxiety because I truly in my heart don't feel it to be wrong. The only thing that drives me up the wall and makes me depressed is that I feel like I'm wronging the Lord.
Okay.
Y'all, just think about that. That should have just broke your heart. That it's a young man, there's nothing wrong with him, but he smokes and it makes him feel better, helps him sleep, probably stimulates his appetite, helps him deal with his anxiety, whatever it might be. But then he feels guilty because he's disappointed God. We let people play this silliness with religion and we don't take it seriously. That is harm. That is psychological abuse. That is manipulation. That is not okay. It's not okay. Even I say the same thing with the porn thing. It's your body. If you don't have the right to touch it, who does? So what? How are we okay with a religion that literally tells people you cannot touch your own body?
Well, you can stone people to death in the same religion.
You can stone people to death in the same religion
because they worked on a Saturday. That's all you need.
Because they worked on a Saturday.
You can't wear mixed fabrics. You can't eat shellfish. There's all sorts of things you can't do in the same religion that, let's be honest, seem kind of wrong-headed. Versus, and for a long time, I've been a proponent of people being able to choose to use marijuana if they want to, But then I have an issue with you shouldn't drive on anything that intoxicates you. If you have an allergy, I had a friend who was allergic to white chocolate. Her reaction when she had white chocolate was as if she had been drinking heavily.
But see, here's the
Well,
thing. They've studied
but
it.
hold on.
Go ahead,
Hold
go ahead.
on. She shouldn't drive a car after having white chocolate, right?
Yeah.
Because it incapacitates her. She
Yeah.
loses awareness. So if
Yeah.
the same thing happens when a person smokes marijuana, they're in the wrong.
Yeah.
But
For the
you
record, it
need
doesn't.
huh?
It doesn't. Marijuana does not impair your driving, even at extreme doses.
Then fine. My point being is we need a way to measure whether or not people are intoxicated that is consistent.
Exactly. So that's what when I was the president normal, that's actually what I was fighting for. So there are what we do right now in this country is basically chemo analysis for driving while intoxicated. I pull you over and I want to know what's in your body. To some extent, we do performance tests with like the, walk in a straight line, count, say the alphabet backwards, right? But what we really want to know is, can you drive a car? Can you operate a motor vehicle? And so there's something that's called a critical tracking test. It's basically like a little video game you play. There's like a little dot going across the screen. You have a little knob and you have to track it. And it basically tests, do you have the eye-hand coordination and cognitive capacity right now to be driving a vehicle? That's what we should be doing, because to your point, somebody could have a reaction to their medication and they should not be driving. Somebody could have just lost their job, found out their partner cheated on them, or that their mom died. They're in no shape to be driving a vehicle right now, but you won't be able to detect it chemically. So that is part of the fight. And it is something that marijuana advocates fight for, because everything else is assumptions. It's just presumed that marijuana impairs your driving. And a lot of it is because the researchers and the people that do this shit legally, they keep comparing it to alcohol, and they don't understand the National Highway Transportation and Safety Authority itself has published studies on it, and marijuana doesn't impair your driving. And they poisoned people. Like they did I had to like go over this research with the police chief at State College. It was really bad research. Like the government literally tried to poison people with pot. Like it gave them like ounces of marijuana per kilogram. Like I explained it to the police officer like this. I said to him, what would you do if you found a student with multiple ounces of marijuana on them? He's like, oh, well, that'd be a serious problem. And I'm like, no, what type of problem would it be? And he goes, that would be intent to distribute. And I said, well, why would it be intent to distribute? He said, because that amount of marijuana is beyond what would be reasonable for a person to consume. I said, well, imagine them giving them ounces per kilogram of body weight. Like, and his eyes got like this. And I was like, yeah. And it still didn't impair their driving. Compared to a legal dose of alcohol. That was the other part which really killed them, because there were these bars and it showed the impairment, and the impairment under alcohol was like several times that of the marijuana, but the marijuana was like trying to poison them, and the alcohol was at 0.07. I said, well, what happens if you give somebody a breathalyzer and they blow a 0.07? He says, I have to let them go. I said, exactly. So here you have a practically lethal dose of marijuana. It doesn't impair their driving at all, compared to this significant impairment with alcohol at a level at which you couldn't even charge them. It's like, it's literally, it should make people's heads explode. Marijuana does not impair your driving. That's not to say some 100-pound lady who takes way too much of an edible her first time, like you said, is going to, sure, of course she's going to be impaired, but overall, it's just we have to do what you said. We have to figure out, can you drive a car?
It has to be consistent,
and you need. And my point was, you need to see evidence of it. You need to see evidence that something impairs somebody's driving, not just assume it based on.
I think where the federal government
bias.
messed up, the federal government should have said, we will be the sole. We're going to legalize it. However, the government will be the sole producer of it. And they use the income to reduce tax loads on people, on communities. So
If they were the sole
how much
producers
your
of-
community got would be based on how much your community used. You follow
there's
what I'm saying? You get a
like-
bigger decrease in your tax load if your community used more weed.
Yeah, because of the extra taxes.
The extra tax money. And then the profits, part of the profits could go to fund things in that community.
I mean, they should do the same thing to the churches, though. Tax the churches. Why are you taxing the potheads? You're not taxing the churches.
Well, I have an
Tax them
issue.
all.
I actually have an issue with taxing the churches because
Why?
as an accountant, it's how you tax the churches. For instance, and I'll explain. So let's say my wife takes 10% of her income and donates it to the church. The church then takes that money and they use it to pay for electricity, the mortgage on the building, groundskeeping, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. My wife made a donation to them. They used the donation to keep the church running. It's fine. You got to pay the minister, staff, and all that. So it goes to do all that. Her 10%. I don't think that should be taxed. But the church has a coffee shop and a bookstore. That money, or they have a car wash. All that gets taxed because it's income.
Every dollar they make is income. What's the difference if your wallet? What's the difference if
Sure,
your
the
wife
difference
takes
is the
10%?
donation.
If your wife takes
So if
10%
it's-
of her money and buys
let's
handbags, Prada
let's
has to
take
pay
UNICEF.
taxes.
Let's take UNICEF. Not UNICEF. Let's take United Way. Right?
But they're an
It's a
actual
charity.
charitable organization that actually see. Here's the
Well,
problem.
that's how
I don't want to make
many
that
churches file to be.
No, but they're not.
charitable
But that's
organization.
the thing. That's not a church service is not a community service. Baptisms are not a public good. Like if you want to be a nonprofit, you should have to actually show that you do nonprofit charitable work. Spreading religious propaganda is not charitable work. And they should be taxed because they're making so much money and they're effectively taxing their people. The church
They are taxing their people.
We're letting them
that
tax
is not
their
up for
people
debate for me.
and then not turn around and do anything for the community on it. So I'd be with you. Like I worked at a church that was that way. I worked at a church that was private, but I would even say they got to be taxed because you know what it was? We actually started a nonprofit. So we separated the two. So I'd be fine. Go ahead, tax the church because we established a legit 501c3. We ran an after school program. We ran a soup kitchen. We did AA. We did NA. We ran the PTAs for the schools. We worked, like we did all that stuff. So to me, like I worked for the Urban League of Essex County as a tutoring director. That was also a legitimate nonprofit. So to me, churches that are legitimate nonprofits will establish legitimate nonprofits and have no problem clearing the same tax burdens of proof that all the other nonprofits do. But I think to just assume that because they're a church, that automatically means they're a nonprofit, and then we can assume that most of their work is charitable work. I just think we know that that's not the case. But that's again, we're gonna have to do a whole episode on taxing the churches, and we have to get a. Well, I'm gonna have to load up a panel of people that disagree with you, so that I feel.
Oh, they disagree with me, ladies and gentlemen. They disagree with me. Well, I'll quote Cyrano de Bergerac. Bring me no mortal men, bring me giants. Come on.
I do not
No,
know.
come on.
But here's what I do know.
Okay.
You and I are more similar than you would imagine. I
We're
wake
both
up.
good looking.
No, I wasn't thinking about that. You're good looking. I know that. I wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, and the thoughts are racing.
Yeah.
And some of them are not good thoughts, anxiety or whatever. And I'm learning to meditate. And meditation is a very biblical thing. The psalmist meditated. And so here's what I do, and I would love for you to try and do. Start with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be your name.
All right, I gotta go here, y'all. Prayer doesn't work. Drugs do. Like this, because this is.
Which would you rather have, according to Pocket Locker? Heroin or prayer? Heroin. Which would you rather have?
Because I'm not finna
Which one's
do
gonna
this.
be more effective?
I'm not finna do this thing where Christians sit there and pretend, oh, you don't need to get high. You can just sit in a room and meditate on the Lord and what He's done for you, and it'll calm your heart and it'll put you to sleep and it'll stimulate your appetite. Like prayer doesn't work. THC does, dog. It's the effects of the THC, dog. We talking about the effects of THC, CBD, and other cannabinoids, dog. We're not pretending that marijuana does something to the brain. It does something to the brain in the body. Like, because that's what he's getting at, right? So he won't ever just come out and say it. But first he was, your body's a temple, and da. Right now he's trying to give you alternatives, like, because he wants to really come out and say it's wrong, but he can't put his finger on why. So he just keeps coming up. He keeps flailing with the fucking nonsense. Bro, people want to get high.
I got to go back. I force myself to go back and start and focus. Our Father who is in
Welcome
heaven.
back,
Hallowed
Kyrian.
be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done. And my mind's going off another. I have to stop and go back.
Oh, wait, pause it real quick.
teaching-
Purple, hit me up, Purple. What we doing for Christmas? I'm trying to do I'm trying to make sure I get a shift for the Christmas stream. Purple does a 24-hour Christmas stream every year, you know, because a lot of us, maybe including myself this year, won't be with our families for the holidays. So definitely go subscribe to Purple Rhymes with Orange channel so that you are notified of the Christmas stream. But yeah, Purple, hit me up. I'm volunteering, of course.
Myself to focus on Christ instead of focusing on my anxiety, my problems, my fears, the things that threaten me, my insecurities. And meditation is incredibly helpful. And so the Lord's Prayer would be one example. Secondly, Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul.
Sweet. So, Cliff, I'm gonna just need you to let me talk to your accountant real quick, because I love how Christians love to pick and choose. Because he got him really with the sugar, right? Like, that's a good point. Because Christians like to pick and choose, and let's be honest, they see it as drugs and alcohol are really bad, but a little bit of excess sugar is kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge sin. They don't really take it that seriously. But I'm sure the man is not taking the vow of poverty seriously. I'm sure the man is not pulling the leave behind those nets and follow me and I'll make you fisher of men. Come on, Cliff and Stewart. Let me get into them bank accounts real quick. Look, I'm not even gonna do nothing mean, my one black friend. I think I should take everything from him. That's what I really think. I think I should take every red cent from them, because they got Jesus. They got the Lord. They're gonna follow the Lord.
They're gonna be okay.
They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine. But since I'm in a charitable mood, I'm gonna just knock them back to like median household income, like 80K. Just a cool little 80K a year. Just something around the median house. This is about what I make. I'm gonna knock them down to what I make. That's what we gonna do. You think they're gonna be okay with that? People say I got a good job. I got a PhD. People say I got a good job. What's wrong with that? But see, that's my point. Like, it's just he won't touch. They won't touch financial excess and greed with a 10-foot pole, because he knows that's what he's doing, right? He knows he's trying to get 1 million subs and all of this stuff, and I'm sure he's up there. Matter of fact, let's look it up.
That is a way of calming me down and reminding me it's the all-powerful God who is the basis of my security in life, not my bank account, stock portfolio, or talents, or career, or whatever else.
Oh, I'm not using it to like cure my
All
anxiety.
right, so this is you guys know it's on the internet, so it has to be true. But according to ISH Technologies from 4 days ago, it says Cliff is estimated to be worth $1.5 million. Come on now, y'all think Jesus of Nazareth will be walking around with $1.5 million in the bank right now? I don't know.
If he could prove he could do miracles, he wouldn't even have to try hard. Jesus, I subscribed. Jesus, we're getting another super chat here. Who is this from? This is from Pocket Locker 86. Pocket Locker 86. See your question here, and Jesus is getting super chats. Like that, Jesus,
Yeah,
can you heal my mom? It's already done.
it's
Ladies and
already
gentlemen,
done.
if you want to heal your mom, send a $120 super chat.
He would have all the money. He would have all the money. But it's crazy, right? It's crazy that it's a literally a person sitting here talking about moral piety and why you might not want to get high. And he's a minister. He's a millionaire minister. Yeah, I don't know, but the way I grew up on the Bibles, it made it sound like the term millionaire minister should not exist.
It shouldn't exist.
It made it sound like millionaire minister should be an oxymoron.
Out of your depression.
Okay.
Just strictly off of just unwinding and enjoying my time. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm using it to be like, oh, I'm really depressed. Honestly, I think I get more depressed while I'm high sometimes because I'm overthinking that it's wrong, and then I get anxiety from that. It's truly not. It's just an unwinding fact of I worked really hard today. I'm just trying to kick my feet up and just unwind, and that's why I find it selfish. It's not a need that I want. It's truly a want.
Yeah.
But
All right, y'all, I'm going to tell y'all this story. Y'all going to see how silly this shit is. And I might be confessing something because my girl might be watching this. And I don't know if I told her about my Jesus wife, but a lot of y'all know I had a Jesus wife, which is somebody I didn't legally marry, but I married. Married, like in a church wedding and all of that. And I remember like sleeping with her like before the wedding. And I think it was like a week before the wedding, y'all.
I'm going to be impolite. You banged your Jesus wife?
Yes. And
wait a minute. Is this a violation of the holiness codes?
Yo, that's what I was worried about. So, because we were trying to wait, because we met working at a church and we were trying to do it.
But this isn't an official marriage. You fell into sin with some random lady that you were supposed to keep spiritual at church? Who are you? Who are you? I'm kidding.
So I was upset though. I was like crying. And I went to one of my professors and like he had to like console me that like it was okay.
I'm sure that professor ran to the bathroom trying not to pee on himself or herself after you left because they were laughing so hard.
But that's what I'm saying is like that's not okay. Here I was in a committed relationship with somebody. I had already agreed to marry them. We were a week away from our wedding, and I felt so guilty for making love to my fiance that I was in a professor's office in tears. Right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, we keep acting like that's okay. That's not okay. We were in love. We were committed. Our families were making travel arrangements to fly across the country and get together. Our moms were cool. Like we were doing everything a young couple. We literally met working in the youth ministry at a church, serving the Lord. Like
couldn't be more blessed.
Couldn't be more blessed. But that's my point, is that this stuff that we let people pretend is cute. Okay, somebody's a Christian. Okay, they sneak off and they take a couple puffs before they go to bed. They smoke weed, but then they sit around and feel bad about it. And we don't think about that as part of the cost of these cults and the lies they tell people. That a person who's a grown person who like, I'm gonna put it to you like this. Everybody that uses to me is somewhere on the spectrum. And most of us would say this, right? From recreational to some kind of self-medication to all the way to part of a formal medical regimen, right? And like myself, I consider myself part of all of those, right? I like to smoke pot, I'm bored, I just want to get high and enjoy TV or whatever I'm about to do, to I use it to treat certain things, right? To when I'm sitting in the doctor's office, me and my doctors talk about my cannabis use as part of my the other medications I take and how we manage my bipolar, right? Like we have to think about those interactions and all of this stuff, right? My point is people use cannabis a lot of times because they're dealing with something. And this is a person who's made it pretty clear, even though this is just a YouTube video and they're talking to Clip Connect, it's pretty clear that he deals with some things. It's pretty clear he deals with anxiety, and it's pretty clear that cannabis helps him sleep, right? As somebody who's bipolar, I could tell you, I would not wish insomnia on my worst enemy. And not being able to sleep, y'all, is no fucking joke. Like, if y'all saw what I do when I log out of Gather at night, y'all be like, God damn, Jay, it's like that. Y'all, that's how hard it is for me to sleep. I take like 7 pills. I take a drink. I'm using hella weed. I'm doing lots of things. I wear special headphones. I wear a fucking eye covers. Like y'all, like it's a whole fucking operation just to get me a decent night's sleep. And I still can't sleep most nights. It's torture. Insomnia is no joke, y'all. Anxiety is no joke. To be alone in your own home with nobody else there, nothing to worry about, nothing to threaten you, nothing really, but you're just not at peace. You cannot find peace in yourself. That's what anxiety really is. You are freaking out about nothing. You just freaking out. It sucks. It's torture. Literally wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. You find something that gives you a little bit of relief. You smoke a couple of joints and it helps quiet down them voices. You could watch some ESPN highlights or some Netflix as you trail off and go to sleep. You smoke a little weed, you get the munchies, you get yourself a nice little midnight snack, and it helps you fall asleep. You get a good night's rest. You wake up the next day ready to go to work. Okay, that's something to deal with, and the person is managing. And now they feel guilty. Now they have a whole nother set of things to manage. Just because this cult makes them feel like he's doing something wrong for literally practicing self-care. We have to see that for what it is and say, this is not okay. This, even if this person is not out there making other people's lives difficult, saying mean things about gay people on the internet or bashing women, he is still torturing himself in a way that is completely unnecessary. And it's also preventing a lot of Christians from helping us make the world a better place. A lot of the reason Christians don't have the capacity to make the world a better place is because all of their energy is spent on their stupid ass sin struggles. But by the time they've done beating themselves up for watching porn and going to men's group for their lust, and then talking to their therapist and being in the pastor's office because they smoking weed, and then they crying on Sunday morning every time they out and say, they ain't got no time to help us fight capitalism. Right? Like they don't even see that stuff because they're so occupied by their sin struggles, yo.
Jealous because people love wine.
Yep.
I don't love wine.
Right.
I love this. This is my avenue.
Yep.
Why is it that this avenue is wrong and then this avenue is fair?
Well, I think it's wonderful that you and your sister have great conversations on this topic.
Always. Always.
You got a good sister.
He's
there. She
laughing
loves
at
you, and it's beautiful
how
to see.
unserious he is.
She gets high with me all the time. She's like the Pharisee. She's Pharisee. She'll just act like she isn't sinning. Look at her.
Time out. The difference is the amount, right? Like, that's the part that I worry about.
I'm an overachiever, Jess.
It gets to the point where it's gluttonous, right? Like, it gets to the point where, like, your whole day, okay, fine, it's a Monday. We have work the next day. There's no reason why we should be smoking 2 joints the day before and then we wake up groggy. We feel the effects. So the fact that, like, that's the part where I disagree with. Like, it's not just, oh, I'm just gonna chill and hang out. No, it's the amount that we do. That's the problem
I can cool off with the amount that I have.
Do you get what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? If I had the green light of like fully, if I fully was like, okay, this is not a sin, I just gotta monitor it better, I could definitely do that.
But how many of y'all think it's probably not surprising if he got a cool 50 pounds on his sister easy? I mean, these things matter. Like, we are talking about when us over here at the grown folks table in reality land, we're talking about dose dependent effects, right? Your sex, quite frankly, matters, right? Because you have a different brain chemistry, different hormone profiles. Sometimes, but not always, substances interact there. We know consuming alcohol, a couple glasses of wine means something very different if you're Uncle Bobby and you're 6'5", 280, solid muscle versus a 95-pound woman and you're 7 months pregnant. Totally different proposition. Okay. Yeah, I know some people, they smoke a couple joints, right? They get a good night's sleep, but they wake up, they're groggy, they're tired, they can't get out of bed, they're sluggish the next day. I could smoke most of y'all under the bed, and like literally, I won't even get a full night's sleep out of it. Like, I'll wake up early and restless and have to get up and be ready to go. So she should not take her experience to be representative of what everybody else needs. This is another mistake Christians make. Most people make this to sort of over normalize your personal experience. And nobody should do that. You should just recognize, like, different strokes for different folks. Like, what works is going to be very different. But that is a good point. And again, but that doesn't make it more. That is not morality, right? That is not about now all of a sudden that matters whether it's right or wrong. It's just, do you have shit to do the next day? Probably don't want to be too groggy. Maybe you should moderate your use. Oh, is it Friday night and you want to sleep in Saturday? Knock yourself out. To make it a battle of good versus evil, silly.
Jessica, whoever said not, toss the first stone. And you were throwing some rocks. It's a glass house, my friend.
She loves you. It's great to see.
No, which is great.
That is a great
Middle
point,
Eastern house,
Purple.
if you're 6 years older than your sibling, it's another mom. Do you know how many times she's grounded me? Do you have any idea how weird it is for your sister to be like, that's it, no phone?
That's amazing.
I'm like, well, you can't do that. And then she pays for my phone bill, so she takes it away from me. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know what to do here. So we'll circle back. Maybe we rip a bong, we figure it out. Is that a sin?
Manifestation will come down, yes, when we're doing it.
Okay, so just to circle, just to close this, just close this chapter. Sugar is bad for you. Alcohol is bad for you. There's a lot of things bad for you. Is it like how you're monitoring in your life and you're not letting that substance or object overcome your life?
Mm-hmm. Well put.
Moderation.
Hey,
Oh,
your boy
my
getting
goodness.
high.
Pocket locker. I gotta get going.
My God, yes, we can finish with this. All right,
Okay.
give us your closing thoughts. So yeah.
Look, if it's legal in your area and it's safe for you to do so with your doctor's permission, I see no reason why you can't smoke. It's not for me. I now have to think about what happens when my daughter says she wants to do it. I, of course, can say to her, well, I never smoked it. But there are many other areas I would look at my daughter and say, well, don't do what I did. I screwed this up.
Yeah.
I got it right eventually, if that's the case. But yeah, I mean, obviously you have to look out for yourself. My body's been through a lot of stuff. And if I was a guy who drank and smoked, I'd probably be dead now. With my heart condition and my diabetes and all that stuff, I don't think I'd be sitting here. But most people, I would say, most people are probably a lot healthier than I am. So they don't have those same concerns. If you do have health concerns, I think it's a good idea to talk to your doctor about such things because there may be benefits that you can get from smoking, right? That I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And it might get you off of one or two medications. It might, or CBD, or, I don't know about these things because I have like that much interest in them. I don't know about them. But there could be real benefits to it. And there's nothing wrong with reaping the benefits from taking something that is 100% natural as opposed to like my Entresto. I don't know how the heck they make that stuff, but I take 2 pills every day.
Yeah, and we see all the time the commercials, right? If you've been taking Entresto for 4 years and your spleen exploded, you may be entitled to compensation, right?
You may be entitled to compensation. Yeah.
I'm always worried that I'm gonna be laying in bed one night and it's just a matter of time, I feel like, before it's one of my medications that pops up on those commercials with,
On that,
with
yeah.
all that,
But
with
that's
all
a
the side
reality.
effects. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being aware of that is a reality that can happen. When for my back, right? This is one of 2 chairs in my house that I can sit in for more than 20 minutes because how bad my back is. The doctor says, do you want pain medication? I take so many other medications that I am actually scared to take a pain medication. And I just politely declined. I says, doctor, I take too much already. I can't imagine the stress all of this is putting on my liver. So every time I get a blood test to check for my A1C, which is down to 6.0, which is pre-diabetic level, according to my doctor, I have to worry about my kidneys. So they check that too every single time. But if marijuana cured 2 things, I'd probably be taking edibles. I don't want to smoke anything. It stinks.
Yeah.
But I'd probably be taking 2 edibles. But so far, no doctor says, what we can give you.
I like edibles. They're too expensive for me. What up, Wayne?
You like gummy worms, do you? Well, we got something you can have.
Yeah, for me, like overall, I just think the whole thing is silly. I wish I could sit down with the guy whose channel this is and really, first off, just give him the first pass of like, this Christianity shit is not cute. I could definitely tell these are people, she got her little cross necklace on. These are definitely people who think Christianity is cute and they endorse it, right, as a way to try to be moral people. And I would just really challenge them to think about the fact that it's not true. And then I would challenge them to really think about what it looks like when you platform people like Cliff and Stewart and treat them as moral authorities to be listened to about how we should live. So I'd show them some of their other videos. Well, let me show you their video with Alex O'Connor. Let me show you them justifying the mistreatment of women. Let me show you them doing slavery apologetics. Let me show you them making justifications for genocide. Okay. Now you see why it looks kind of dumb to sit down with them and ask them if something is right or wrong, because these are not people that I think have a good understanding of right or wrong. These are people who, like typical Christians, can't say that slavery is always wrong, can't say that rape is always wrong. They can't say that LGBTQ people are the same as us and deserve unequivocally to have the same rights. They cannot say that women have the same worth as men. They can't say these things because according to their worldview, they don't believe these things. And it is really, really frustrating to see people who clearly don't know right from wrong be treated like they are the moral authorities in the room, and the rest of us should ask them if our behavior is acceptable. But hey, it's 2024, it's YouTube, and right-wingers sitting down with Christian fascists to talk morality is the flavor of the day, apparently.
Things are going.
Yeah, that's it for us, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in. A couple of notes. Send our girl Steffi Sales some love. There are links down in the description. Make sure I send Steffi some love and buy her a cup of coffee if you are so inclined to do so. Don't forget, we've got Crystal's party game night coming up on December 30th on Skeptic Spin. There's a link down in the description for that. Also, make sure y'all are checking out Uncle Bobby. He's been making killer videos on his new channel, which is called Lil Chrissy. There's a link down in the description for that. Also, my one black friend is going to be with us not this coming Monday, but the following Monday on Skeptic Haven for Black Free Thinkers. And then 2 weeks after that, we are having Black Atheist Rants on Black Free Thinkers. So make sure you're subscribed to Skeptic Haven and catch up on Black Free Thinkers. Otherwise, there's a link in the channel in the description for our Discord. And there's also a link down in there for Gather. If you want to come hang out with us offline, we'll be hanging out in Gather. There's a link in the description for that. You want to show me some love, Ko-Fi is the way to do it. Otherwise, leave us a comment if you're watching later. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Be good to yourselves.